clogged TV.
Beyond the policy.
You're welcome back to the KOKO Digest Morning Show. If you're just tuning in, this is the KOKO Digest Morning Show, and we're about to have our main discussion. It is on breast cancer awareness, and I'm sure you've noticed that every Thursday of this month, we discuss breast cancer awareness and prevention. And so today I have three guests, and one will be joining us, via digitalization. So I would introduce him first, and he's in the person of Dr. Eliza Kofi-Togbe. He's a lecturer of biochemical chemistry, clinical biochemical chemistry, or chemical pathology at KNUST. Then our second guest is our very own Dr. Victoria Partey Newman. She's a resident public health physician at the West African College of Physicians and Surgeons, and also the CEO of Lady Bits Wellness Clinic. Then our third guest is in the person of Madame Louisa Yayura Ahiabu, and she is a senior HR manager at the Department of Surgery at Kolebu Teaching Hospital. Now, before we begin, as I said, Dr. Togbe, joined us via some digitalization, and he gave us a little lecture on some aspect of breast cancer, the pathology aspect. So we would have that played right now, and then after that, we will start our discussions with our guests who are in-house. The audio, and then we can move forward. Okay, so can we have that, please? Okay, so there seems to be a slide acquainted with our guest here in-house. We know Dr. Victoria Partey Newman. She's our doctor now, yes. So thank you so much for joining us here. And good morning to you. So as we wait for the audio, let's get a little introduction here. So yes, you are the Senior HR Manager at the Department of Surgery at Kolebu Teaching Hospital. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Thank you. Being an HR manager at the department, Kolebu is very big, and we have various departments under Kolebu. Yeah. We have the Department of Surgery, Child Health, Ops and Gynae, and all of that. So they are divided into sub-BMCs. So I am just an HR manager for one of the departments. Okay. We have the centralized HR, which is at the main administration, with other directorates over there. Okay. So we have the HR, Human Resource Directorate at the main administration. We also have the the Director of Medical Affairs, that's the Medical Directorate. We have the Nursing Directorate. We have the pharmacy. We have all of the various directorates over there. Okay. So I am just an HR manager for one of the departments. Okay. And over there, I also have a senior over there. Okay. So
you happen to also be a survivor of breast cancer. Can you briefly, give us how the experience has been, the journey?
Having been diagnosed with cancer is not a good news. Anytime somebody, hears of this diagnosis. So for me, the first time I heard it, it was a shock. Even though I had a strong feeling I had it, because I lost my mom to it. That same year, I was also diagnosed. So after I buried my mom in September 2019, I also I had my screening in October, same year. Every year I do screening, but for some strange reason, nothing was found the previous years. But in that year, I noticed the lump, and then I followed it up. And then the lump was in my armpit, so it was a painless lump. It wasn't painful, but then the pain at my nipple, that drove me into the hospital to go and check. So after the screening, because of the strong family history, my mom passing away, I was asked to do a mammogram. So after the mammogram, I was asked to do a biopsy because of the lump they found there. So I did a biopsy, and then it came out cancerous. Actually, I didn't even seek a second opinion because of what my mom went through. So I was also having that strong feeling, because when I started noticing that in my armpit, something was telling me that something is not right. But I was just living in denial. I didn't want to accept that that I'm also going to have something like that. So in fact, the news was very devastating. At that time, I was just shocked, confused, angry, sad. A whole lot of things were going through my mind. But what can you do? You have to accept and then continue with your treatment.
So you said your mom also had it. So it's safe to assume that you were taking care of her, right?
Yes.
So from the perspective of a caretaker, how was the experience like?
It wasn't easy, knowing what your mom went through, knowing the harsh treatment chemotherapy had on her, radiation and all of that, having a recurrence and all of that. And then eventually recurrence took her away. In fact, it was very devastating. We were all confused, myself, my husband, and my brothers. One of my brothers was like, he can't believe this. It was like, no, this can't be. He broke down. Our last born broke down. He started crying. Then, no, this can't be, because we lost our mom just barely a month, and then me too. So, in fact, the experience was not a good one to recall, but it's been 5 years now. And I can say now, I can confidently talk about it without breaking down. Initially, anytime I'm talking about this, I do break down. I cry. But now I can talk about this without crying. Yeah, so it means I've overcome it.
It's small. But you see, in taking care of someone who is ill, of breast cancer, how is the experience, the emotional experience of, especially even when she was declared probably terminal, how was everything like? Their diet, even their own attitude towards the caretakers, the toll of going to the hospital, everything. If you can tell us a little bit about that too.
It wasn't easy. The person going through the sickness psychologically, emotionally, wasn't easy. The little thing, the person might get offended and all of that. So for me, she was my mother. So that love was there, and I was very patient with her. At some point, even going to do the surgery she had series of her BP rising up because she's not done surgery before. That was her first time of going to do surgery. So the anxiety was just so much, to the extent that she was already hypertensive, and then her BP was, kept rising. So at a point, they have to discharge her to go back home and then come back after 2 weeks. A whole lot. So it really had a toll on me and on her as well. So the journey of cancer, taking care of the cancer patient, the treatment, it's not an easy thing. The whole family, becomes affected, even though you need to be very supportive, but we are human. It will definitely get to you, but you have to be strong for the person.
Okay, so I know there would have to be some dietary changes and things. And in Ghana here, vegetables are expensive. So would you say that also takes a toll on the economic, abilities of the family?
Yes, the finances. Because going to buy vegetables and all of that, doctors will tell you to eat in moderation. You eat balanced diet and eat in moderation. Most of our foods in Ghana are all carbs, carbohydrate. We have a lot, our banku, fufu, and all these staple foods. Yes, they are all carbohydrate, and they are the cheapest. If you want to buy vegetables, it's very, very expensive. And financial situation can also, how will I say it, delay your healing process. Because if you don't eat the right foods, you may not get healed. You get the medications all right, but food is also medicine in a way.
Okay.
So it's difficult though, but you have to.
So now back to you as a survivor. When you heard your diagnosis, what were some of the fears running through your mind? And, you know, so you're sharing this so that people who are probably diagnosed can relate, and then they get some solace in their hearts that it's not all bad.
It's normal to be afraid. It's normal to be angry, to get sad and all of that. And it happened to me also. But with time, you have to accept that this is it. I was afraid. I was thinking of, so what's going to happen next? My children, who is going to take care of them? You know, and then finances, how I'll be going through the treatments, chemotherapy, radiation, and all of that, surgery. They are all expensive. Even the tests that you are going to do before the treatment, it's also very expensive. A lot of these are not on national health. National health takes care of a few of these. It's not until recently some of our hormonal medications are taken care of by national health. So it was very, very expensive. Yeah.
Okay. So was your diagnosis, was it the triple, I remember, triple negative one or something less?
Mine was estrogen positive. It's estrogen related. So even though I started my chemotherapy somewhere along the line, because I was having serious side effects. When I took my second cycle of chemotherapy, was in fact, I almost died. I felt I was going off. Even though I was the type who was so much, particular about my health, but I was afraid. What my mom went through, you know, I felt, no, this thing can also do something like that to me. So I was feeling bone pains. Virtually, when I take chemo, the first 2 days I'm okay, but the third day, I'm down, nauseous, tired. I don't feel like doing anything. My mood, you know, nothing is as if I'm not in the world. That is how I was feeling. So after they said my hair was off, started coming off. When you comb, you see that the hair is coming off into your comb and all of that. It starts having this darkened palm and fingers. So, in fact, looking at yourself, it has so much psychological effect on you. So at a point, I came to the hospital again during one of my reviews before my next session, when my folder got into the hands of one of our consultants. And then I complained bitterly to her that this is what I was going through. So she looked at my folder again and realized that it was estrogen positive. Then she said, Louisa, go and do BRCA1 and 2 test. When you do, then we'll take it up from there. But he's going to put me on the hormonal pill. So that was where my chemotherapy session was stopped. Okay. So I was placed on the hormone therapy. I think the doctor, you know the percentage of something. It was that thing that she saw and realized that no, the percentages are okay. So she can comfortably put me on hormonal therapy, because mine was at the stage 1. But the doctor insisted that they have to take all my breast. But then I've already taken my, the breast was removed. I had surgery first before I did chemotherapy. So that chemo was stopped eventually, and then I was placed on hormonal therapy. Yeah.
So, Doc, this one, the hormone therapy and the chemo, like her chemo was stopped and then she was put on hormone therapy. Are there instances where you would have to do both?
Okay, so the chemotherapy is just chemicals that fight the cancer cells. So there are some medications that are given to fight, which are very strong, like she said. Whereas the hormonal therapy is estrogen positive, meaning that when the anti-hormones are given, known as the example like tamoxifen, what happens is that it reduces the estrogen levels drastically. And so the cancer cells do not have anything to feed on anymore. And then they start to shrink. So with her type, being stage 1, the chemotherapy would not have been too important as compared to the hormonal therapy. That's why earlier on I used to say that you should know the type of cancer and then the stage of cancer. So sometimes what we as health practitioners do is we overload our patients too much with a lot of things to do to get the cancer away. But if we could be more strategic, instead of just overloading with this, you do it strategically. One of the therapies, we call it target therapy.
Okay.
With that one, like she said, we have the estrogen positive cancer. We have the HER2 positive, the human epidermal growth factor positive, and then we also have the progesterone positive. So all those ones, they are all related to some kind of hormones. So what happens is that if we get an antagonistic effect of the hormone, it regresses the cancer, it shrinks the cancer, and then it makes the patient better. So that's the new model or type of way cancer treatment is going. So at first it will be like once you are diagnosed, then everybody chemotherapy, everybody. But now it's mostly not like that anymore, like she said.
Okay. So in a case like the person has stage 3 cancer and it's hormonal, would they stop the chemo too, like in her case, or they'll continue with the chemo and then
yes? So with that one, it would be more of a new adjuvant. Adjuvant means like side by side held. So it's more like an adjuvant therapy where we are doing the chemotherapy alongside the hormonal thing, which can really have a very strong devastating effect on the patient. The patient.
So, Madam Louisa, how was your recovery process like?
Actually, my recovery process, I would say, was fast because I accepted it. I made up my mind that I'm going to leave. I have children, I have people who are depending on me. So recovery process depends on your mind, your thinking. If you want to leave, you also have to put in your efforts, your mind. You have to have that strong mind that you want to leave. And also, you spiritually, we are spiritual beings. You need to pray as well, because I involved my priest in my journey. From the very first day that I was diagnosed, I called him.
Wow.
We told him, myself and my husband, we went there. He prayed with us. He told me this is not a death sentence. You are going to survive. People have survived, so you are going to survive. Even though your mother passed away, she is not you. We are all different. So that was the first statement. So I kept that at the back of my mind. So listening to what he said, I also kept praying. Beginning stages, you can't pray yourself. So you need to get somebody to intervene on your behalf.
You try to pray.
I want to chip in something. You see, she said her mother was diagnosed with breast cancer. She's been checking regularly. She wouldn't see anything. When the mother was diagnosed, the mother died, and then she had. So from the period the mother was diagnosed, she being the caretaker, go through a moment of stress, strong stress, to the extent that it's kind of accelerates and trigger the potent risk factors, which she already might have had. So stress is a very key note in cancer. We need to cut down our stress.
Stress is causing hypertension.
So that's what happened with
causing
her.
cancer.
I noticed that. So as soon as everything went wrong haywire with the body because of the stress, and then once she had that potential, it came out.
So, Madam Louisa, you mentioned that you went to get tested for the BRCA1 and 2. So was it positive?
No, it came out non-specific something. The doctor, because they could not see whether it is positive or not. So they said it's a certain mutation that is not yet known. That was what they said. Yes. So I even gave it to one of my daughters, Dr. Dede, to even check it for me, to explain, to tell me what it means. So that was what she also concluded, that they cannot specifically say because of that, maybe my daughter or somebody else is also susceptible to that. But since my mom had it, I also had it. We should just be checking her as well.
Yeah, just in case.
Just in case.
Yes. So, I mean, a disease like this will definitely impact your life. How has it impacted your life? I'm sure there have been, not to glorify it, but there have been some positive impacts, right? So if you can give us a bit of both.
Yeah, let me talk about the negative side. Emotionally, I would say initially, it really had a negative impact on me. Looking at my body, when you are dressing up in the mirror, you look at how to balance your breast and all of that.
Yes.
It becomes very difficult because your normal breast is there and you now have to put in something to adjust to make it look, okay.
Natural.
And sometimes people who are close to you, who know you that this is what you're going through, when they are talking to you, they are looking at your chest. And that one too is also
Become
something.
self-conscious,
Yes.
yeah.
So you are always checking yourself, what it is like. So all these things drove me to have my second breast, which has nothing taken off. So I had double mastectomy. Yeah, because I had a recurrence because I stopped taking my hormone medication.
How did you stop? Was it an emotional reaction?
Yes, I was forced into early menopause because estrogen was going down. Yes, in my system. Estrogen has a role to play as a woman.
As a young woman.
Yes. So since estrogen has been subsided in my body, I was having bone pain, hot flashes, mood swings.
Mood swings.
In fact, so embarrassing. I will be here and then you see a whole lot of, sweating from my head down. You know, so it was becoming too embarrassing. Working at the office, small time you have to go and wee. All these things were just too much for me. So I was taking the medication for 5 months when I started noticing this and I stopped. So on my own. I'll go for review. I'll not tell the doctor anything. They write the medication for me. I'll not go for it. So I thought I could fight it on my own. But alas, it is not like that.
There.
Yes, I intentionally shared this for people out there to know that you can't do that. When you do, you are bringing it back onto yourself. So you have to be careful when you are on your medications. Seek medical advice. The doctors may change the medications for you.
Yeah.
There are alternatives. So
they might even reduce the dosage.
Yes, the dosage for you. Yes. So I stopped taking the medication. Then after 8 months, when I stopped taking the medication, I changed my lifestyle. I go to the gym. I try to eat well. I cut down on a number of food so I can look, okay. I did all these and I was looking fine. I came back to myself. My hair grew well and all of that. One day in the gym and I noticed the lump again in my armpit. The very place that the earlier one together with the breast was removed.
Thank God it was at the same place.
The same place. So I got frightened. Usually when I leave the gym, I leave very happily. But that day, I wasn't happy. I wasn't myself. Looking at the recurrence of my mother and this also coming back, it was very devastating. This time around, I told my husband, I was like, oh, you are always having this, negative. That it will come. So it's nothing. It's nothing. Maybe I over-exercised and some of the muscles were... I went home and I could not sleep. The next day, I still was feeling this thing over. This time it was becoming painful.
Okay.
So I went to the hospital. I went to show it to my doctor. She saw it immediately. She said, Louisa, you have to go and do biopsy. After the biopsy, it came out cancerous again. The same estrogen positive. Okay. And he said, you are lucky that it is estrogen positive.
We know the solution.
Yes. What we are going to do is we do the surgery first. So it was at this point that I said, I want to take the second breast. If I'll go there for just the lump to be removed, I want the second one also taken. So they took the second breast together with the lump of the other one. So that is where...
So at that time, had you had all your children?
Yes, I had 2 kids.
Okay.
A boy and a girl. I was done.
Because you'll be forced to premature menopause.
So we have a comment here. HM Joe says, wow, a touching story.
Yeah.
Thank you for your comments. Keep your comments and questions also coming in so that we read them out. So aside the negative impacts, would you say this condition or this experience has definitely had 1 or 2 positive impacts in your life?
Yes, it did. Okay. Now I take life one day at a time. I also change my lifestyle. I don't stress so much over things because I realize that stress is number one cause of this because I relate it to myself. Because I realize that one, when I was taking care of my mother after her death immediately, and I was working at the bank at the same time.
Wow.
So a number of things brought this out, because since I have the risk factor, I felt that stress was number one cause of my issue. So now I don't stress myself. I eat well. I exercise, not really going to run and all of that. But the least chance I get, I try to walk about, not to sit down all the time. I don't like to live sedentary lifestyle. Yes, so it has really impacted me, and I can see that I look fine, I'm healthy. If the two of us should run or should squat right now, I can. So,
Okay.
yes.
So, do you know of any support groups? Are there support systems? Did you have access to that in your journey?
Yes,
Okay.
I did. During my, after my mastectomy and my chemo session, that was in 2020, during the COVID time, my employer, one of my directors, linked me up to somebody who is also a survivor.
Okay.
And she is a lawyer by profession. She lives in Canada, and she has Safe Haven Cancer Support.
Okay.
She's the founder and the CEO of Safe Haven Cancer Support Society. Okay. So she linked me to her, and then she was talking. I mean, she used to talk to me, counsel me, looking at her, and I mean that she has survived it. She's a lawyer by profession, and it gave me hope. That alone, I mean, changed my perception and my attitude about the whole thing. So it also speed up my recovery process. So they brought me prosthesis and mastectomy bra. They even brought it to my house.
Oh.
Yeah, that was in December 2020. That time we were all in nose mask. You know, everyone was afraid. COVID time, yes. Yeah. So they brought me my mastectomy bra and prosthesis that day. So being the support group is very, very important. We share ideas. We share our experiences, what we are going through, the pains and all of that. Then we realize that everybody has peculiar problems, peculiar side effects. How they managed it, we share it so that somebody can also pick it up from there and then help yourself. Okay. Yes, so it really helped. Aside that, I'm also on other ones. I'm on Breast Society of Ghana page, where the doctors and nurses are also there. So if you are going through any pain, you can easily contact a doctor or a nurse over there who will be of help to you. And then we have a platform, a support platform called Sisters for Sisters. And then that one there, we can do anything. That one is only survivors over there. Okay. So we post ourselves. You can go bare-chested and do your things over there. Yes, because there we understand each other. Yes. Yeah. So it really helps.
So because there seems to be let me frame this well. So it seems as though there aren't enough support groups, or people don't know about them. That's what I'm asking. So if we know of some, maybe it's maybe free advertisements, my producer, I beg, but if we can share so that people watching can also pick up some of these names, because there are definitely people out there, women out there, who are going through this alone and could use a friend. So, like you mentioned, Sisters for Sisters, Safe Haven, and then the Breast Society of Ghana. Yeah. Okay, so please, my cherished viewers, please keep these names in mind, and then you can try to find them, contact them, and get some support for yourself. We're going to take a quick break, but please don't forget to send in your comments to our WhatsApp number displayed on your screen. You can also join the conversation on our live stream on Facebook and on YouTube. Right after this break, we will be playing the recording of Dr. Togbe teaching us a little bit about the chemical pathology side of the breast cancer awareness that we are doing here. So we will be right back. Yeah, welcome back to the KOKO Digest Morning Show. If you're just tuning in, this is the KOKO Digest Morning Show, and we just came from a break. We have here two guests in-house, and then one is, in a digital platform. So our first guest is Dr. Eliza Togbe. He is a lecturer in clinical biochemistry or chemical pathology at KNUST. Then we have Dr. Victoria Pate Newman. She's the resident public health physician at the West African College of Physicians and Surgeons. And our third guest is Madame Louisa Yaira Ahiabu, namesake, who is a senior HR manager at the Department of Surgery at the Kolibu Teaching Hospital. She also happens to be a survivor. So now Dr. Togbe gave us a little information about the pathology aspect of diagnosing breast cancer. And so we're going to play the recording for us to learn something today.
Heartfelt greetings to your cherished viewers and also to my colleague guests, Dr. Pate Newman and Madame Louisa Yaira Ahiabu. First and foremost, let me try to explain a little bit about chemical pathology. Chemical pathology, also known as clinical biochemistry or sometimes chemical biology, is a branch of pathology that focuses on the diagnosis, monitoring, and management of diseases through the analysis of biochemical changes in bodily fluids, tissues, and cells. Now, I will attempt to answer your questions. Number one is, how do chemical pathology tests diagnose breast cancer? Chemical pathology tests help diagnose breast cancer by analyzing blood or tissue samples for abnormal levels of certain proteins or genes. These tests include 1. Tumor markers such as CA153 and CA2729. 2. Hormone receptor tests such as estrogen and progesterone. 3. Genetic tests such as HER2. 4. Blood tests such as complete blood count, liver function tests, and so on and so forth. These tests help to identify cancer cells, monitor treatment, and predict recurrence. Your second question is what biomarkers are used to distinguish between benign and malignant tumors. Now, the biomarkers used to distinguish between benign and malignant tumors include 1. Cancer antigen 153, that's CA153. 2. CA2729. 3. Cancer embryonic antigen, that is CEA. 4. Estrogen and progesterone receptor tests or assays. 5. HER2 protein assays. Question 2 asks, what biomarkers are used to distinguish between benign and malignant tumors? Biomarkers used to distinguish between benign and malignant tumors include 1. Cancer antigen, which for short is CA153, CA2729, carcinoembryonic antigen CEA, estrogen and progesterone receptors, human epidermal receptors, which we shorten for HER, with protein, and Ki67, which is noted for proliferation issues of cancer cells. These biomarkers help to identify aggressive cancer cells and guide treatments. Then your third question asks about how accurate these tests are. Now, I need to explain a few or two terms concerning accuracy. The first one is sensitivity. Let us assume that you are trying to look for a needle in a haystack. A sensitive test is like using a powerful magnet to find that needle. The test in this case is good at getting the test even if the cancer cells are in small number or small quantity or at an early stage and can be determined. Now, what about the second phenomenon, which is specificity? A specific test is like using a special tool that only picks up the exact type of needle you are looking for. So while sensitivity, you are trying to pick needle in a haystack by using powerful magnets. In this one, you are looking for a specific type of needle. It could be a big needle, it could be a small needle, but that tool must be able to pick the particular type of needle that you want. I'm explaining this because they will be used in a lot in answering question number 3. So I take the question again: how accurate are these tests? The accuracy of chemical pathology tests varies. One, tumor markers have 70 to 80 sensitivity and 80 to 90 specificity. 2, hormone receptor tests vary between 90 and 95% accuracy. Genetic tests vary between 95 to 99 accuracy. And 4, blood tests vary between 80 and 90 accuracy. So sometimes we may have to do multiple tests in various disciplines like imaging techniques, which will all go to improve our accuracy. Question 4 asks about the role of estrogen and progesterone receptors. Estrogen and progesterone receptors help in 1, to identify hormone-sensitive breast cancer. 2, guide hormone therapy, for example, tamoxifen. And then 3, predict treatment response. Positive receptor status indicates better prognosis. Then we think of the HER2 protein, and other genetic markers and their role in diagnosis of breast cancer. HER2 protein and other genetic markers include one, the ability to identify aggressive cancer cells, to guide targeted therapy, for example, trastuzumab, and to predict treatment response. Other genetic markers include BRCA, people call it BRCA1 and BRCA2, TP53, and PIK3CA. Then, even though this one doesn't fall exactly within chemical pathology, we can still discuss it. Imaging techniques. Imaging techniques help, or as used in mammography, have 80 to 90% sensitivity, 90 to 95% specificity. Ultrasound have 80 to 90% sensitivity and 90 to 95 specificity. MRI has 90 to 95% sensitivity and 95 to 99% specificity. PET-CT has about 90 to 95 sensitivity and also 95 to 99% specificity. Imaging techniques help to, one, detect tumors, guide biopsies, and monitor response. Combining imaging and chemical pathology tests improves breast cancer diagnosis and treatments. Now, I want to take a particular example to explain some of the ideas I have already talked about very briefly. Let's take CA153. CA153 is a blood test that measures the level of a protein we call mucin-1, and it is produced by breast cells, both in normal and cancerous breast cells. How will CA153 differentiate between malignant and benign? Elevated CA153 levels are typically higher in patients with breast cancer, especially those with advanced disease. Now, further to what we are saying, it is important to know that laboratories establish their own thresholds, which below or above will indicate the level of disease. For example, CA153 level about 30 to 40 units per mil is often considered elevated, which also suggests malignancy. And the pattern of elevation can be sudden. In CA153 levels over time may indicate malignancy, whereas stable or neither increasing nor decreasing levels may suggest benign conditions. Combination with other tests such as CA2729 with CA153 and then CAE will definitely increase your accuracy. These are some of the ideas that we use in clinical chemistry or clinical biochemistry, which is also called chemical pathology.
Wow, that was very, very educative. And fortunately for us, we have a doctor here, so she might be able to break it down a little for us. So, Dr. Patti, what's your intake on our little lecture here by Dr. Togbe as well?
Okay, so that was very, very insightful, very educative. That took me down to memory lane of my pathology days in med school. Yeah, so basically, he's talking about cancer cells and also talking about indicators of cancer cells.
Okay.
What would make you know that you have cancer? So we have some blood tests. That's the tumor markers.
Yeah.
We have the carcino-embryonic antigen.
Yes.
And we also have the CA153.
Yeah.
We have the
I heard that one. I remember that one.
CA2729.
Yes.
We have the CA125. And then we come to the estrogen receptor test, the estrogen positive cancer cells test. We have the HER2, that's the human epidermal growth factor test. And then we also have the progesterone test.
Okay.
So these are things that would show the type of cancer. And then also, okay, at first, to indicate there is cancer, you do the blood test. So your CA125 or CA153 or CA2729 is high. Then it triggers the doctor, okay, let's now examine the patient.
Okay.
So a thorough examination is done. We talked about the imaging. So we do a scan, we can do a mammogram, we can do an MRI. And then something is picked. Okay, so this could be where the problem is coming from. Let's do a biopsy.
Okay.
So the first one is with the tumor markers. Now with the biopsy, you're now going to do the type of cancer cells.
Okay.
So the last time we had a meeting, we talked about the triple negative cancer. That's when they test estrogen is not positive, progesterone not positive, HER2 not positive. That's the triple negative.
Okay.
Yes. And it's that kind of cancer is very aggressive. But once you start treatment, it also recedes very well.
Okay. So with the hormonal ones, I see that you are mentioning estrogen and progesterone. Is it limited to just those two, or the other hormones like the prolactin and the rest are also? So
basically, it's the estrogen and then progesterone.
Okay.
That's the PAR2 and then the EO2 receptors.
Okay. Okay. So, so this question, who does it even go to? So how does a survivor or someone going through that maintain intimacy and relationships during treatment or even after? Especially like, okay, maybe to go to the survivor, because now...
You know, well, we had a show recently and we were talking about, I was advising the men not to abscond their wives, support them and all that. But the gentleman also said something very striking, which I had never considered before. I was like, Doc, okay, what about me also being psychologically traumatized, knowing that the breast is not like before? Then I realized that this whole breast cancer, the whole family needs
some counseling.
Some counseling.
Yeah. Okay, so our survivor, maybe you can give other survivors some tips here and there.
As Dr. rightly said, when this thing happens, it affects everybody. It affects the man, it affects the children, it affects close relations. But the immediate people who are mostly affected are your husband and your kids. That's if you are married and have children. For me, it wasn't easy, but if you have a supportive husband, it makes it a bit easier. Because even though he's trying to be there, he also needs support.
Yeah.
I remember there's this nurse, oncology nurse, who was doing her master's, and then she was doing this research on the survivor's husband. wants to know how
Yeah,
they
that-
also
their
take it.
perspective.
So I spoke to my husband and he agreed to be interviewed. So actually, they also go through a lot, knowing very well that this is how you used to look, and all of a sudden you are undergoing some drastic change. It's kind of difficult for them. This is where love comes in, and that sacrifice also comes in. If the person is loving you for some part of your body, then it means when you lose that part, then it also goes away. We are human. Naturally, you would see some kind of changes in the person, but you also have to work on yourself as a human being. You don't have to overstress people around you. It's not easy. It's not easy going through these psychological changes, you as the survivor. But you also have to consider those around you, that they are also human. They are also going through the pain you are also going through. So you both have to sit down and talk.
Okay.
Yes, and if possible, you seek professional help.
Okay.
Yes.
So I have two more questions, then we wrap up. So, Doc, how does the reconstruction work? Do they take fat from different parts of your body to put in there?
Okay. So usually the breast reconstruction is done to help or ameliorate women, to make them feel good. Usually when they do the mastectomy, there and there they can start the breast reconstruction.
Okay.
Where they can work on some silicone implants.
Okay.
And then they put it in the breast. Or sometimes they can use saline implants, normal saline, and put it in the breast. But normally with the saline implants, it can rupture with time, and then also it can also get infected.
Okay.
Compared to the silicone. Both can anyway.
Okay.
And then another method too is sometimes the women want to have a nipple. So they actually can tattoo, do a 3D tattoo of the nipple to make it look real. And then also they also have a way of taking some parts of the body. It can be the rectus abdominis of the stomach.
Take your stomach part.
You just now have a tummy tuck. And then you would have the thigh too taken.
Okay.
And then they use it to create then there's something like a nipple and then the breast. So that's the flap reconstruction.
Okay.
Yes.
So can that be done immediately? Let's say a patient comes and she says, okay, I want reconstruction. I want to take all this stubborn tummy fat. Let's put it there. So while we do the removal of the breast and everything, please start draining the fat and then fix it so that I can go home. Something
Okay,
like that.
so like I said earlier, it depends on the stage.
Okay.
Because after the surgery, there can be radiotherapy. After the surgery, there's chemotherapy. So depending on the stage.
Okay.
So if you are good to go with just surgery, especially when it's stage 1 and very early,
Okay.
they have the lumpectomy or they have a wide excision, they remove some part of the breast, and then you want an implant or you want a flap reconstruction, your nipples done and everything. It can be done if they will not work on your chest anymore.
Okay.
Because the radiotherapy somehow affects the chest wall.
Yes.
Darkens the place and then destroys some of the cells before there will be regeneration of cells.
So we have a question here from Mr. Frimpong in Labadi. He says, do men also get cancer, breast cancer, I'm sure? If yes, do you feel it's like the way women feel it? What does the question even mean? Cancer is cancer.
Do men also have the symptoms? But breast cancer in an initial stages is painless.
Okay.
Then getting to the end stages, then it's painful.
Yeah. Okay.
So the best way to pick up breast cancer is a routine screening. That's the breast self-examination and then the mammogram and the scan and the MRIs. Okay. So when you do it annually, it picks it up and then you know what is going on. So with the men, they need to be examined, you see, and then it's picked up and then...
Okay. So, Madam Louisa, being someone who has had a double mastectomy, you mentioned having a mastectomy bra and things like that. So can you share with us care and maintenance of the prosthetics and the bras? Is it like normal bra that you wash every few days?
Yeah, it's just like the normal bra.
Okay.
Just that it has pockets.
Okay.
It has pockets that you put the prosthesis
Okay.
in. You can use the fluffy one. Currently, I'm using the fluffy one. The
Okay.
the normal prosthesis, the silicone one, it's a bit heavy for me. So sometimes I feel pains on my shoulder. So I prefer the fluffy ones.
Okay.
I manage it well.
Okay.
Yeah. So the care and maintenance is just normal. You don't expose it to harsh condition, especially the silicone prosthesis. You wash it well and then keep it in a nice, room temperature. It should not be exposed to so much heat.
Okay.
Yes.
So with the prosthesis and the mastectomy bras and things like that, are they as affordable as even normal bras are not affordable, but are they easy to access, and is it possible to have more than one?
Yes, it is. It's easy to have more than one, though it might not be accessible just like that. But as the support groups, we have support groups, and these foundations, cancer foundations, a lot of them have this. They partner with NGOs who come outside from overseas to bring these prosthesis and the bras. So there are times like this, and then they come out and then share it freely as I am speaking. There are some ongoing at Tama General Hospital that they are giving out free prosthesis and then prosthesis bra. And then when you come to Kolibutu, sometimes you go to the Department of Surgery, second floor, you can go and ask if they have. If they don't, they may tell you that when they get some, they may call you. So you leave your number with the in-charges at the ward, and then they will call you when it is ready. And Safe Haven Cancer Support Center at Tesano, they also have it there. Anytime you go in, you may not get your size. It all depends. You may not get your size, but when the new consignment comes, you may get it. So you just have to go there.
With time.
Yes, with time.
So can people with the maternity bras use the maternity bra as a makeshift,
You mean mastectomy bra or
the
maternity?
the maternity ones, the breastfeeding mothers. Can they? Is there a way to make that a makeshift mastectomy bra for the people who may not be able to afford for now?
Maybe. Maybe they can. But that one has an opening. Yes, so you can easily use that. It's easily.
So over the weekend, I think the Achimota Golf Club had the Pink Cup where they had a tournament and then a breast cancer awareness talk. So are there things like that going on in our society where we have different organizations organizing programs? And if you know of any, and then we can share, do you know of any programs, like if it could be a health walk, football tournament, something like that in honor of breast cancer awareness?
Yes, there are lots of them ongoing. And there is some one coming on this Saturday. That's organized by Breast Society of Ghana. They are going to we are going to organize a Keep Faith walk from Independence Square. That's where it's going to happen. And then I think for now that's what I know of. But there are lots of screening out there, lots of organizations doing screening. Sunny FM is also doing one today, and then tomorrow. That's Sunny FM.
So what about Lady Vit's Wellness Clinic? Are we doing some screening?
We went to the secondary schools.
You went to the secondary school.
We spoke to some of the headmistress at Laboni Secondary School, and then we engaged their students. So we are geared towards the preventive side, whereby we school the younger ones, and then they are able to know what to do and report early. Because when that is done, chances of survival is
very high.
So more with the secondary school this time around.
So about to wrap up, but there's one more question here. So Ajo Asari from Sinyane is asking, what are the potential side effects of the treatment? She says, Clock TV, wow, I love your show. Episodes of breast cancer, I think, with some celebratory emojis. Thank you very much. So she's asking what's some of the potential side effects. I think we mentioned them earlier.
Chemotherapy.
The treatment, yes.
Yeah. For chemotherapy, I mentioned tiredness and all of that, but it depends on every individual. Somebody may not go through what I went through. Someone will take chemotherapy and nothing happens to the person. Maybe just the hair loss and darkened palm. And someone will take some chemotherapy and go to work as if nothing has happened. And also, we also have radiation. For the radiation, you know, this is an X-ray. This X-ray, high energy being directed to the affected parts just to kill the cells.
Cancer cells.
Yeah, cancer cells. So sometimes you feel pains after the treatment and even sore. The place becomes sore afterwards. And that one too is also another process on its own. Whilst you are undergoing the radiation, you may feel tired because it depends on the number of days. Some of us had hours for 25 working days. So every morning you go there, you be in the machine for some few minutes, and then you come out. A certain dosage is given you. Yes. So you go through, like 1 week for a number of, weeks. Mine was 5 weeks. That's 25 working days. So it all depends on your body, how your body is able to take it. I had a little bit of sore, but it healed quickly. Yeah, some people have this, and it takes a long time for it to heal. Eventually, it even gets infected and all of that. But
Some
luckily,
will not even sweat.
Yes.
On that particular
portion of the body.
radiation,
Yes. And even right now, that side is very, very sensitive. Very, very sensitive. Even when you put on your bra and you removed it, you see that the place is swollen. Yes, almost all the time. That's radiated parts of your body. It's always sensitive.
Okay. So we have one more comment. This one is from Mr. and Mrs. Kumi, watching live from Northern Region. They said, can I have their numbers? Yes, you can contact Clock TV after the show. We'll give you their numbers. And yes, to wrap up, I would like to take your concluding remarks to our viewers. So who goes first?
Maybe me.
Okay.
Then doctor will wrap up. Okay, so for me, what I would say is that breast cancer is not a death sentence. When you have any problem with your breast, you just quickly go to the hospital and get it checked. Early detection saves life. Early detection, I also add, and financial support, and then family support. It really saves lives. For me, if it has not been that, I may not be here today. So me coming here, I just want to tell the people out there that I am a living proof of somebody who has survived it. The fact that you are seeing me is, you should have that hope. If you are going through it, know that you would also survive. With the right mental attitude, that positivity, you would go through. Anything that the doctors ask you to do, just do it. Don't stop medications. Just go ahead. Because for me, I really regretted that because it wouldn't have recurred, I'm sure, if I had taken the medications seriously. And then that is what I can say for now. So they should just go out there and get themselves screened. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Dr. Patti, your closing remarks.
Okay, so in conclusion, I'm also learning a lot with this breast cancer survivorship. I think when openly people are diagnosed with breast cancer, we have to give them the support they need, emotionally, financially, in any way we can be nice to them, especially at the workplaces. People survive breast cancer and come back to work, and the prejudice that goes on is not the best. I would urge the HRs, the managers, the employers should give them equal opportunities as those who were never diagnosed, because once they've been ascertained that they are efficient, they are capable of working, I think they deserve that fair opportunity. You wouldn't have to intentionally put them at a particular place and say, because of your disease or whatever, I think you do well with the shopkeeping area of the company now. We know too she's learned and she has had an exposure with, even done her masters and all that, and she was, waiting for her promotion, and now you've sent her to all this. So what I'm trying to put across is that when a person survives breast cancer, the person is still the person that he or she was before, and should be treated as such. Same.
Okay. Thank you very, very much. Now, this brings us to the end of the KOKO Digest Morning Show, and I hope that you have been learning a lot, as I have. I've learned so much in these past weeks that we have learned. We've talked about breast cancer awareness, and I hope that you also share with your friends and loved ones. So yes, follow Clog TV on our social media platforms. Share the links like our. You can tune in to on TV, Clog TV or Go TV channel 184, and then promote our page, promote the breast cancer awareness as we are in the month of October. Thank you so much for joining us here. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for tuning in, and thank you to our production team and managers, our sponsors, everybody that joined hands to make the show a success once again. As you go through your day, don't forget to spread positivity and keep that beautiful smile on your face as always. Breast cancer is not a death sentence. You can survive this. We'll see you next week, Tuesday, bright and early. And that's all for today. I'm ready for my photo. Beautiful, why? I don't know.
Clog TV. Beyond the policy.